Look. Don't forget to share. So Blake Lively just doubled down. It's not a story anymore. Now it's a post. She put her freaking weird statement out again with her like screenshots, and then she closed with Michael Gottlieb's bizarre statement. I said this in a video. I was like, Michael Gottlieb definitely said the quiet part out loud. Like, you're not supposed to freak out and lose your composure in that way, you know. And I think it's clear to me that like the Baldoni team is totally strong arming them. Like, you want to settle? 100 million all day long. And Blake Lively was like, I don't have $100 million and fuck you. And I will burn my career to the ground before I give you any money. And Justin Baldoni's like, sold. Burn your career to the ground. Damn it. I can't wait. I need to do a GoFundMe so you people send me to this fucking trial. Who the fuck can afford to go stay in New York for 4 weeks just to attend this trial? So it's going to be like nonstop media coverage. Today she read Never with Teeth, and they only got halfway through breaking it down. Tomorrow they're going to get to the ball busting. You know, they only got halfway through the PGA letter. She's going to, you know, she's going to have to explain how she ran HR and then was also uncomfortable in the HR environment that she created. I didn't see the Daily Mail, but like I said, today, the point of today was, in my opinion, Lively's team said, okay, we need an updated settlement demand so that we know what our plan is going to be moving forward. There's only 2 defendants left. There's only 3 claims left that are really only 1 claim. What would Wayfarer want to like get away? We're talking about the fact that Blake Lively just reposted her weird statement, crash out statement from Friday, and she reposted that, and she reposted those screenshots from like the 10 sentences from the opinion, and she reposted like Michael Gottlieb's letter. So now instead of a story, it's a post. So she's doubling down on her insanity. So I give them until May 12th to settle. If not, May 13th will be the first day of trial, because I don't think the judge is going to send it back. Well, she's epically melting down because then she heard their fucking number. So how it works is Blake Lively's team reached out to the magistrate, said, hey, magistrate, we need a conference call. Just a conference call, right? And then what confused everybody is the fact that this magistrate judge is like, so ordered, you shall. And it's like, people don't get it, but the magistrate order is like a court version of an Outlook calendar. Okay? You say you want a conference call, the magistrate emails both sides, sets it up, and then to confirm, the magistrate types an order, plaintiff shall at 3 p.m., defendant shall at 3 p.m. In light of the new order, give your blah, 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 blah. And then, like I said, what Wayfarer did over the weekend was, if they didn't have it ready already, but what they did was they put together an updated settlement memo. And it's like, this is what we would want in order to agree to settle this case. And they had to have demanded 9 figures. I mean, it was a $400 million fucking lawsuit that he filed against her that got dismissed. However, millions of dollars that she's been suing. Like, they're all like in these 9-figure ranges in their lawsuits. So I'm sure it was a 9-figure demand. So in my mind, $100 million, this is why we missed this Pac-Man opportunity. We missed this opportunity. We missed that opportunity. Plus damages, plus lawyers' fees. And then they're like, you don't have to pay us all at once. You could do $10 million a year for 10 years. And so then, I mean, like, in terms of the, you know, it's whoever the official defendants are left, Wayfarer and whatever the name of Jennifer Abel's entity is. That's the official defendant. So it's Blake Lively would settle with Wayfarer and whatever that is. But behind the scenes, we all know that Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni are essentially synonymous, right? He's the main witness. He's the director. He's the main like lead actor. He's the one who was like most personally damaged by all of this. So, you know, it's going to have to be like a settlement that would address like his harm as well as the entity's harm if they want to settle. But I'm like, they're going to lose this trial. So the only way they would win this trial is if like really irrational people got on the jury. And one example that I had of that on another occasion was, I don't know if you remember, but I had this video where there was a text message where Blake Lively was like, I need to lose 20 pounds. And Justin Baldoni put the like thumbs down. And everybody was like, he's being supportive and he's saying that she doesn't have to lose weight. And then somebody came left and said, actually, a thumbs down could mean like, oh man, that's a bummer. Now I have to like lift more weight, and was like being really negative by that thumbs down. And I'm like, that's an example of like, you can never really predict what somebody and what a jury is gonna do. That's the risk of a trial. But as I said, you know, in the judge's order, he lays out two specific. Hey, Lexi. So I'm just recapping because essentially, hold on, I'm making tea and the water is boiling. Give me a second. All right, turn it off. So basically, first of all, everyone click 5 times to get 5 years of positive luck. Yay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Click the screen 5 times really fast and get lots of good luck. So Blake Lively doubled down on her insanity because she just reposted as a post and not a story that crazy statement that she made on Friday, plus her weird screenshots, plus Gottlieb's letter that he wrote while he was very intoxicated. Hey, from Ireland. Hey, the yodeling goat. Insanely accurate. JB. Eileen Iyer. DD. Lexi. Chrissy. BZ. David. I want to give you guys shout outs. Chrissy, $1 an apology and no NDA would be epic. Hey, Patty. Thank you. So, hey, Mississippi. Wow, we got people from all over. We got Brazil, Mississippi, Ireland. How cool. Hey, I can't see. I have to get my glasses, Vernil, but I try not to wear my glasses. Hey, Florida, Jersey. Jersey's in the house. Australia, Jersey, baby. What? How about our Jersey boy, Michael B. Jordan, winning the Best Actor. North Carolina, Vegas, Houston. How fun is this? You guys are from all over. Maryland. What? He is so hot. Hi from Scotland. How cool. North Carolina, Southern California, another Australia, Florida, PA. Do you think that Blake thinks they should pay her out? Of course, she's insane. Georgia, Philly, Florida, Canada, Arizona. This is so fun. She's out of her fucking mind. Like, and it's funny, you know, like Ryan Reynolds thinks he's Deadpool and this chick thinks that she's fucking Khaleesi. There's gotta be like some crossover movie or something. Oh my God, I had a cannoli yesterday. Jersey shout out reminded me I have a cannoli in the fridge. Thanks, Mako. Howdy from Plano, Texas. Daily Mail said no settlement today. New York. How do you think Wayfarer retaliated? Thoughts if they call Ryan to be a witness. So here's I think Gottlieb was drunk. That happens. I think Gottlieb was drunk. That happens. Lawyers drink a lot. I don't think Ryan is going to be a witness. They didn't take his deposition because he apparently invoked spousal privilege. And if he was deposed, I mean, if he was like on like trial to testify, he would have to admit the fact that he was the one who wrote the root scene. Therefore, he like helped his wife commit fraud in helping her pass off his intellectual property as her own. And if you remember, there were some Sony emails where they're like, wait, is this correct that Ryan Reynolds wrote this shit? Like, we need to get him to sign stuff immediately, because they could have gotten sued, you know, for whatever. So what happened today was not a full-blown settlement conference. What happened today was, in light of the fact that all of the individual defendants are out, the two remaining entities were like, what? This is what we would want to like get rid of this case. And they made a 9-figure settlement, I'm positive. I'll be at NYC on Wednesday and hope the universe puts me in my path. So it depends on what the terms are. But like I was saying, like, I think she is just so willing to like burn her career to the ground because of pride. So it's like, she is Khaleesi, but the fire is just going towards her. Like, the fucking fire is like turning around and blowing right in her face. It's hilarious. I just am like, okay, cool. Let's go. Let's go to trial, baby. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, the fucking wind is blowing and you're just like, keep on. And it's funny. It's like this is the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario for her. The best case scenario for her would have been if this whole case had been dismissed, because then she could like, I tried, I made my effort, I expended my resources, I did my best, and I had, the privilege of doing what no one else can do, and kudos to me. But this is like essentially like her bluff is getting called, because she never fucking anticipated that this shit would go to trial. So let's think this through now, okay? Let's imagine it's going to go to trial. And people are telling me, oh, you're helping, do you think they have a case for retaliation? We're going to talk about that. So let's talk about this, okay? People are like, oh, you have to stop, like saying stuff because it's like helping Blake prepare. Blake's lawyers know what they're doing. Shapiro knows what she's doing. So it's less about me helping prepare them and more about, this is like, let me explain to you now what Justin Baldoni and Alexandra Shapiro are likely doing to prepare for trial. Okay. And Baldoni's, both sides know, because everybody's working from the same universe of evidence. Okay. And they know that, number one, the judge said that the circumcision conversation was not inappropriate, and the judge said it was before work started. And if you look at it, like, he put work in italics, so he was kind of like clowning her. He'd be like, just because you have to work doesn't mean you're an employee. It means you have to fucking work. So one motion in limine to exclude that conversation from evidence at trial would be, in the judge's own ruling, the judge said that this has no relevance on establishing whether there's a hostile work environment because they happen before work. And the judge said the whole circumcision thing is, a conversation that Blake Lively herself may have started. Okay? So that's one motion in limine. Another motion in limine is going to be, how can we use the video footage of the dancing scene? Both sides want to use that. But here's the thing, okay? Now that the judge has held, there was nothing unprofessional about that dancing scene. the judge held that Justin Baldoni, could be visibly seen blocking. He yelled action, he yelled cut, he was acting, and the judge said, like, he was just acting, and acting people deserve leeway. Directors deserve leeway. And the judge said, again, if this had happened in the executive suite or the factory floor, it would have been different. But the context of this is they're filming a movie about two people falling in love. No hostile work environment. That's the part that all the media outlets are leaving out. Okay? So how did the media screw this up? Okay? I have coasters. I didn't plan on a demo, but the media went like this, okay? The media is like, oh, independent contractor, boom, boom, he must not have considered it on the merits. But that's not what happened. The media said federal, Title VII, I'll just read the birds. Title VII, sexual harassment. Title VII, retaliation. She's an independent contractor because of the PGA letter. Done. Then he said California, sexual harassment. California, retaliation. On the merits, he said no California retaliation. She talked about Wayfarer things that they did while in California. She talked about things that Heath did while he was in California. The judge even dropped a footnote and said some of the things she talked about were so trivial, it's not even worth mentioning. So on the merits, California, sexual harassment, done. So now what's left? Okay. California retaliation, because California law applies to independent contractors. So how could this claim survive? Okay. Well, step one is it reasonable for a jury to conclude that she was uncomfortable? The way to analyze that is it reasonable for a jury to conclude that she felt as if she was in a hostile work environment? It's not was she sexually harassed. That's out. It's a nuance. Can the jury conclude that she felt like she was in a hostile work environment? Okay. So focus on this part, guys, because this is important. So you guys can help me spread the news. Okay. When the judge said, okay, California retaliation, he looked at all of her facts and said, what can the jury look to find a hostile work environment and what would not qualify as a hostile work environment? That's why I say it's on the merits. That's why he said circumcision, not hostile work environment. That's why he said the dancing scene, not hostile work environment. That's why he said the asking about the weight, not hostile work environment. What could a potential juror say? The Jamie Heath talking to her while she was getting changed, for example, right? So the judge evaluated her facts. So every single sentence that Blake Lively quotes is from this part of the opinion. So there's this part, this part, this part, and this part, and all of her quotes just came from here. She ignored this whole thing that rejected everything else, and she cherry-picked a couple sentences, and all this part says is that she has alleged enough facts that the judge said it would be reasonable for the jury to think it's reasonable that she felt uncomfortable about the workplace. So that's how he decided on the merits, her sexual harassment claims, because hostile work environment on the basis of gender and sex, that is what the judge said is just another way of saying sexual harassment. So the media said because federal fell, no judgment, no consideration on the merits. But the same facts for here were the same facts for here. and the judge said this is out, and the same facts were considered here, and the judge said these were not like this is not conduct that could help someone believe that it was reasonable. There's enough for her to go to the jury. Okay, so here's the other part that she's like hanging her hat on this concept that the judge said that they started their plan to destroy her. And if you look at that language, what did the judge say that Baldoni did? If you look, okay, the judge said Blake did this and that, and they started because Justin Baldoni, after the judge says this, okay, this judge laid it all out for Justin Baldoni's legal team. The only reason this part didn't get dismissed, the only reason this part didn't get dismissed is because the judge can't decide any issues of fact. So the only thing he didn't say was case dismissed, but he laid out every fact that's going to help Justin Baldoni. He said retaliation means Justin Baldoni only hired PR because of the January meeting. But what did the judge say? Okay, the judge said in May of 2024, Ryan Reynolds unfollowed him, and then Baldoni called PR. The judge said that. That's a finding of fact that the judge made. Okay? So Baldoni's team can use that. Right? Then the judge said in July, after some June book fair thing, in July, Blake Lively said that she was not going to promote with Baldoni. And then the judge said, and then Baldoni hired his PR. So just with those two facts, the judge gave Baldoni what he needed to get rid of this at trial. And the funny part is that when she, he was like, oh, Baldoni started to retaliate. The best thing that the judge could say, or the worst thing rather, that the judge said, Baldoni asked that a video about Blake Lively not really supporting domestic violence be boosted. Justin Baldoni is so nice. The meanest thing that this fucking man can say about this woman is that she doesn't care about domestic violence. The meanest thing. Well, she doesn't care about domestic violence. And that is what the fuck this is all about. You know what I mean? It's like, it's bananas. It's bananas. But this is why it really pays to be fuck you rich. Because this is like $10 million. $10 million. Thousands and thousands and thousands of attorney hours for, I've done the counting thing already. Like, hey, Blake, want to take a look at my wife's, birthing picture? Oh my God, is that porn? No, it's my wife's birthing picture. Oh my God, I thought it was porn. Oh my God, well, it's not. Oh my God, cool. It's 20 fucking seconds. It's like 20 seconds here, 30 seconds here, 20 seconds here, and a dancing scene that was the centerpiece of her complaint that the judge now said would not contribute to a hostile work environment. So when they use that footage at trial, the judge is going to give a limiting instruction, okay? And he's going to tell the jury, you can only use this footage and think to yourself, looking at this, can you understand why this plus everything else would have made her feel uncomfortable? 10 million, Steph. That's how much I would guess she has spent in fees to date. And I think it's going to be another 10 easily to go to trial, because the anticipated length of trial is about a month. We're talking about 4 weeks. 8 hours a day. You get to court by 8, you leave by 4, then you go back to the office to prep for the next day. So you're not leaving the office till 10 or 11 p.m. Get a couple hours of sleep. Get to the war room, which is the room with all the exhibits and stuff, by 6:30, 7 a.m. Get your shit together, your papers collected, get your notes. Go to the courthouse. It's a churn. It is fucking exhausting. It is fucking exhausting. And let me tell you something. Like, attorneys don't go home, especially big law attorneys. They'll be like, kiss the baby goodbye, and I'll see you when the fucking trial is over. Like, attorneys will, and again, when it's a high profile thing, people fucking stay in hotels right by the courthouse. It wouldn't surprise me if this is the Southern District. It wouldn't surprise me if, like, at least a couple of Wilkie partners got, like, some hotel rooms at a hotel down there, and rented out the conference room, or at least one of the conference rooms, because that's where you set up. So the associates could come in and out while the partners are at trial. The associates will be, like, doing research throughout the day, because attorneys are allowed to keep their phones in federal court. So imagine you're Alexandra Shapiro and Blake Lively's lawyer just said something left field. You can text your associate under the table and be like, 911, I need this research question by, now. So the associates are on standby. The partners are at the fucking courthouse. Like, paralegals are working. This is going to be like $10 million easy. Easy. For both of them. But at least they have fuck you money. If you're new and you just joined the chat, did you know that if you tap the screen 5 times really fast, you get 5 years of good luck? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 years of good luck. So these people are, like, really, really wealthy, but apparently not wealthy enough that they would be willing to fucking pay Justin Baldoni $100 million. And again, $100 million is, like, it's $10 million a year for 10 years. It's not like the largest settlement that I have settled was about $40 million. It wasn't just me, but I was on a team and I helped negotiate. So I was one of the negotiators on the settlement. And it's never, sure, I'm going to cut you a check. Oh, well, why are you $40 million? No, like, there's always a payment schedule. There's, like, per year, this quarter this much, this quarter that much, this quarter that much. If you're late, you got, this is how many days notice you get, or this much interest will apply to the late payment. So it's like a really structured kind of like credit agreement almost. It's not like a very simple thing. It's a really detailed settlement agreement. And then also, if I was negotiating that, I would say you also have to agree to never use the fucking dragon emoji ever again. Like, never. Because people are going to associate me with this dragon emoji, so it's not fair to me if you start fucking going left and people are going to be like, oh, what does she mean? What does she mean? So, no dragon emoji. All right, let me say hi. The Yodeling Goat, Sasu, Fran, Queen, Savoya, Tony. Thank you for my likes. Sal from Cali. I have a structured settlement now. I have a structured settlement and I need cash now. Well, I don't know what to tell you. How confident are you that Blake will lose in court? So, I'm very confident, but the thing that I said too, like, I remember I posted a video and I was like, there's this text message exchange between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. And Lively says, I need to lose 20 pounds. And Baldoni goes like this, thumbs down. And everybody else commented on my post and was like, oh, he's clearly being supportive. And then there was this one fucking person who was like, I don't think he's being supportive. I think you can interpret that as, damn, thumbs down, you got to lose 20 pounds. I still got to bulk up. I still got to exercise more. Like, there's always one person that you'll never be able to predict what the fuck. Like, how did they get to that conclusion? It's not rational, but here they are. And you can see how they got there. I'm like, if Justin Baldoni is a complete dick, like, sure, I can see why, someone would reach that conclusion. So I'm very confident. It's just that, you can never know how, like, dumb a juror could be. So that's why I'm saying, but I think they have great odds. I think they have great, excellent odds. I think, retaliation, there's like so many things in between. There's this 8-month gap. The only reason that this is still a thing is because California is broader than federal law, and it is more plaintiff friendly, which is why they have that, is it reasonable, as opposed to, is it like severe or pervasive? Like they have a much more lenient standard for plaintiffs, and they let independent contractors bring these kinds of claims. So the judge couldn't say, Teresa, it's for real, don't hang up. I think our forced her to prove. What's funny? So here's what no, he can't rework his case. It's done. That's what's annoying. That's why I say I'm not a Friedman fan. Wait, I want to know that too. Yes, elaborate on this one. Wait, what's the question? I'm scrolling. Thoughts on Ryan Reynolds' sexual predator comment. It got dismissed. So that's what I'm saying. Like fucking, and it was funny too, because I went back and I looked at that Brian Friedman, comment when he was doing that interview about suing them into oblivion. And he keeps saying, like, he almost sounded like Donald Trump. It's going to be the hugest complaint. You've never seen a complaint this huge. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be the most amazing complaint. It's huge. It's beautiful. Like, you've never seen this many facts in a complaint. You've never seen this many facts. And you're not supposed to have a lot of facts in a complaint. So his fucking 200-page complaint, the judge was like, how do you have 200 pages and not state a claim? You're reprimanded. So all the claims against Ryan Reynolds are tossed. And then the judge was like, I gave him the opportunity to amend and he declined to do so. So there is no lawsuit against Ryan Reynolds by Justin Baldoni, unless Ryan Reynolds, they could also not attach the ALA. ALA was never a thing. What was I going to say? Yeah, the ALA was never a thing because it was never signed. In the opinion and order, the judge said it's contract law 101. If both parties aren't seeing eye to eye and they haven't signed on the dotted line, there's no contract. It really is that simple. You can't say, Blake, I don't want to sign until we're done negotiating because I don't want to be bound. But they should be bound even though I don't want to sign. It's one or the other. And however, I mean, it's a long section and it's a lot of bullshit just to say she never signed on the dotted line, no contract. So the issue with the only breach of contract thing that's left is that after the January meeting, okay, they signed an agreement where they said Wayfarer agrees not to retaliate against Blake Lively because of this complaining that she did. And they signed that. And that is what the judge said. She can sue for breach of contract because she's stating a retaliation claim. So this whole thing, retaliation, aiding and abetting, breach of contract for retaliation, this whole shit is retaliation. So did Baldoni Wayfarer hire PR because of the January meeting or because of the April PGA letter, the May Ryan Reynolds unfollowing, the June book fair thing, the July I'm not going to promo, the cast unfollowing him, not doing promo, not taking pictures, putting him in the bait. Like, she caused all these fucking PR issues that if I was Baldoni's lawyers, I'm like, let's just take our time and walk the jury through this narrative. So here's the thing. It is retaliation. But here's the thing. There's legal retaliation and illegal retaliation. Okay? If Blake Lively is going to write this PGA letter, get her husband, one of the most popular actors in the fucking world, to publicly unfollow this guy, and then the whole cast is going to unfollow this guy, and then you're going to refuse to take pictures with him like he fucking like molested you or something, and then you're going to put him in the basement, like you are creating a public relations nightmare. He then can hire his PR to counteract that, and the best it seems he could fucking do would say, well, let's boost a video that says she doesn't care about domestic violence. But that's legal retaliation. It's legal. Your PR team versus my PR team, we're duking it out in the media. That's legal. There's nothing illegal about that. Mano a mano. Fucking leave the gun, take the cannoli. We're taking it to the mattresses. Whatever. It's war. It's PR war. That's okay. What's not okay is if he hired PR because he's like, fuck that bitch. She accused me of sexual harassment and being uncomfortable. That's not okay. So is that a conclusion that the jury could reach? Not after you make that bitch spend 10 minutes reading the fucking PGA letter. The judge cut and pasted. I tried reading some of that in one of my videos, but I only read like the very beginning of each sentence. I didn't want to make a 10-minute video, but maybe I should, just so that we can all get a sense of how long it would take her to read this in front of a jury. Because it's a long fucking thing that she narrated. Thank you for my necklace. And, and then they need to go back and then say, well, now let's talk about this. What did you do in pre-production? That can be 5 minutes. I mean, it would take at least one day of trial just to walk through that whole PGA letter. The very last question. Blake Lively's team, if anyone over there is, Baldoni's team, if anyone's watching. The very last question from the PGA letter line of questioning. You first start, you make her read that whole fucking thing. You go line by line by line by line by line. Then you say, wait, it says right here, you worked tirelessly for 1.5 years to earn. So no one ever had any contract negotiations with you. Is that right? To produce? No one ever made any contract negotiations with you to do scripts. No one ever made any contract negotiations with you to do costumes. No one ever made any contract negotiations with you to change locations. Thank you for my flowers. No one ever made any, no one asked you to do any of this shit. You took it upon yourself to try to prove yourself. You're sending him this message saying, oh, Taylor and Ryan know how underutilized I am. Bitch, you signed up to be a fucking actress. You're being utilized for the role that you were contracted to do. You're not being underutilized. You're being utilized according to the terms of the contract that you were retained. What the fuck? But you systematically joined this movie and you systematically took away control. First by seeming like you're trying to seduce this fucking man into letting you get away with all this writing. And then at some point, because he didn't fuck you, you just decided to go scorched earth. And you're like, now we're going to bury this motherfucker. I'm like, and this is me. I didn't know anything about this case on January 22nd. January 23rd, I started learning about it to present day. So in this 2.5 month window of time, I am like, Blake Lively has completely conned Hollywood for all this time because she's out of her fucking mind. She's absolutely out of her mind. Thank you for the likes. Don't forget to share. If it goes to trial and offered, would you join the Wayfair legal team? I wouldn't be able to join as an attorney, but I would consult if they needed me. I don't know that they would because, like I said, Alexandra Shapiro helped get Diddy off. And let me tell you, side note about the Diddy trial. The Diddy trial was a perfect storm of a clusterfuck. Because right before his trial, Trump fired a bunch of U.S. attorneys. So he fired a bunch of experienced federal prosecutors. That's number one. Number two, the prosecutors who tried that case completely fucked up. And they put, her name is escaping me, Cassie. They put Cassie on the stand when she was pregnant. And they're like, oh, we got to get rid of her because she's pregnant. No, I don't give a fuck. Cassie should have been the very last witness, not the very first. That was insane. Insane that they did it that way. It's the same thing that I say about Blake Lively. Like, you don't start at the end. You start at the fucking beginning. You establish RICO. You establish that he is using the money from this criminal enterprise and paying people to then bring in prostitutes to engage in, transportation for the purpose of prostitution. You establish the business foundation. And then you introduce the stories of the people who are most impacted by that business. And then you fucking end with Cassie. Whether when she's about to pop or we need a continuance and she can come after she gives birth. But you don't put the fucking most sympathetic witness in front and then weeks later everyone's forgotten who the fuck Cassie is. So Diddy benefited from the government shitting the bed. Big time. Big fucking time. Because when he was first indicted, I looked at that complaint and I was like, we are never going to see this man again. He's never going to breathe free air. Because the Southern District of New York was that past tense. Now, like, all these fucking federal prosecutors have either quit in protest or they've been fired. And, like, crimes are not getting prosecuted the way they should be getting prosecuted. And Diddy got lucky. And he had a legal team that knew how to exploit the fact that the prosecutors that they did have didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So yeah, Alexandra Shapiro is great, but also the prosecutors didn't know what the fuck they were doing in the Diddy case. But that's my little sidebar on Diddy. Okay. Justin's team can't go back and discuss items they didn't want to rewrite before. I don't know what that means. What do you mean? Didn't Blake work with 2 law firms? Why did her lawyer shade Friedman? Because Blake was working. The Van Zandt case was Manette Phelps. They're not like a big law, like the top 100, but they're a pretty sizable national firm. And then Wilkie Farr is like number 20 something, 29 in the top 100. Sorry. And is a really good, really good law firm. But Brian Friedman just got sanctioned. So Michael Gottlieb, listen, I'll I have a little bit of Michael Gottlieb had this much and was just chugging. And I was like, that motherfucker got sanctioned just last week for failing to state a claim. How dare he talk shit when he had to hire another law firm to come in and save his ass. It was really funny. Sorry, they didn't revise the second amended complaint to save it for the record. Justin Baldoni's team should have written a second amended complaint. So they did this complaint, and then 2 weeks later they did the amended complaint, and that was kicked out, except for this little piece. And then they should have taken that little piece and rewritten, like Control-A-Delete. Let's try this shit again from scratch. Once they had gotten dismissed, they really should have hired someone else to do the writing. So I'm not entirely, if you have a billionaire at your disposal, like, I'm not entirely sure what the fuck went wrong in this case. But anyway, it is what it is. It's over. Can Gottlieb be sanctioned for making categorically false statements about the technicality? No, but he might get in some kind of ethical trouble for the statements that he made against Brian Friedman, because that was pretty bad. And it's not like you do have to abide by an attorney code of ethics. So I'm sure he breached at least one of them. But once that whole fucking thing was dismissed, and it's like, you got this much time to rewrite, and then people are saying that, like, oh, you know, we weren't in the room and we weren't sure whether or not, like, there was an agreed upon decision with the client. The client trusts whatever the fucking lawyer says. That's been my experience. If I tell the client what I think the best strategy is, the client will be like, okay, I trust you. I don't know. I trust you to make the best decision for me, Teresa. I'm like, okay, this is what I think the best move is. This is why I think this is what the best move is. So if any part of that conversation involved Friedman saying this is a good thing to take to an appeal, that's bad guidance. So if the client's like, yeah, then okay, we shouldn't appeal, that's not a mutual decision. That's fucking the client trusting the attorney, and the attorney didn't give good advice. But this idea that, like, oh, well, we weren't in the room, we can't say, it's unprofessional to say Friedman didn't do a good job. It's not unprofessional to say Friedman didn't do a good job, because you know who else said Friedman didn't do a good job? The fucking federal judge that just sanctioned him with a reprimand. He also said Friedman didn't do a good job. So what the fuck are you talking about? It's unprofessional to say Friedman didn't do a good job. Is Judge Lyman unprofessional then? For sanctioning him with a reprimand and making it clear that out of a 200+ page complaint and a useless 140-something page timeline that wasn't even a pleading that could be considered, out of 400 pages of nothing, he couldn't state a claim, that he was reprimanded? Judge Lyman agrees with me and thinks that Friedman sucks. And I can say that because I'm not fucking practicing, nor am I his opposing counsel in this case. That was where Gottlieb was like, he said the quiet part out loud. So, thanks everybody. Do you think they will ask to exclude messages from the minute? No, because all that stuff has already come in. It was already admissible. So what I was saying about Van Zandt is, you know, the best remedy is once this whole thing is over, once the Stephanie Jones, once everything is done, Baldoni's team really sit and think and be like, okay, I'll back up. There's a whole practice area of law of attorneys who represent other attorneys who have committed like professional misconduct. It's like a whole practice area, just like corporate, just like tax. There's a whole practice area for professional conduct. So if I was Baldoni's team, I would reach out to one of those law firms that has a group that specializes in that. Because the rules of professional conduct and the ethics stuff, it's all very complicated and technical. And you don't write a complaint, you write a letter. And it's like a whole different thing. So if I was on the Baldoni team, once everything is said and done, I'm trying to think of a good firm off the top of my head that does that. But the team that I know left the firm that I remember. But they know. But I would call and be like, hey, so-and-so, I want you to help us draft an ethics complaint against the Blake Lively team for the sham litigation in Van Zandt. That's what they can do. And then it's like it's like a parallel litigation for ethics violations. That's what they can do for Van Zandt. But with respect to like all the documents, all those text messages and everything, all that already came in. So there's no excluding it now. So that's that. Thanks everybody for joining. If you're new, did you know that if you tap the screen 5 times really fast, you get 5 years of good luck? I was watching a live this morning with that guy, Gary V, and he kept saying that, and then like his legs kept going, and I'm like, I think that's some kind of like psych trick. But I'm like, I'll just keep saying that if you tap the screen 5 times really fast, you'll get 5 years of good luck. So hey Harris, Maria, Sylvia, Omar, Zoraida, Dia, Amarachi, Blue Sky. What are we going to expect now? What is next before trial? So Friday is their first pretrial deadline, so we should look for some stuff on the docket on Friday. And then they have a couple of other April deadlines. So they should be making like motions in limine about what they introduces evidence and what they want excluded. So what I would, and they want to, and Baldoni's team is going to want a limiting instruction. So again, Baldoni's team is going to say, hey, you said circumcision was before work, so we want to exclude the circumcision stuff. You said the dancing scene was professional, so we want at least a limiting instruction that the court will tell the jury that they can't think of this as unprofessional, but they can say, did subjectively Blake Lively feel uncomfortable? You could say that. You know, same thing with the weight. You can't say it was unprofessional for him to ask about her weight, but you can say, was this one of the things that when you add it all up made her feel uncomfortable? So they're going to do some motions to like either exclude evidence or limit the way the evidence can be used. And then closer to trial, they do like, because both sides are entitled to know what the other side has. If you ever guys watch My Cousin Vinny, it's actually one of the most accurate movies of a whole trial. It's like law school show. They showed it at Cornell. They showed part of it at Cornell. But it's like every single aspect of the trial is the procedure. So both sides are entitled to know what each has. So at the very end, like right before the trial, they'll say, these are all the exhibits that we're going to use. These are all the witnesses that we're going to call. This is our schedule, like what we anticipate. Like, you know, plaintiff will be like, oh, we're going to need 1 week or 2 weeks to present our case, then we'll rest. And then the defense will start their case in the second half of the trial. So the first 2 weeks will be Blake presenting her bullshit and, you know, Baldoni's side systematically like knocking her down. And then when it's Baldoni's turn, then they can recall her to the stand, Blake Lively, and just like chop her ass down that way. Okay, let's see. Dona Pina, will Taylor Swift be called? Probably not. Can they add more evidence? Probably not, because again, discovery is closed. So they can use what's in the universe of discovery, because now we're in trial. So there's a balancing test with evidence. Yes, it has to be relevant, but it can't be too prejudicial and it can't be too distracting. And that's where the Taylor Swift part of it comes in. The judge might say, it's going to be too distracting to have Taylor Swift here when all she can really say is that she supported Blake. And like her evidence isn't really going to add that much weight as much as it's going to be a distraction. And there are other pieces of evidence that Baldoni's team could use to kind of prove the same point. So Taylor Swift, probably not. But the full cast, yeah. Colleen Hoover, yeah. Jamie Heath, Baldoni himself, the Wayfarer people, some Sony people. Like if they were deposed, they should be called to the stand. It's going to be a fucking shit show. Unless on May 12th, after all this posturing, you know, we just get this, you know, the parties have reached the settlement. Both sides are happy. Both sides feel confident. Both sides thank their supporters. And, you know, we've decided to move on in peace and harmony. And we'll never know, but we'll know. I want Justin to get his settlement, but Blakely doesn't have self-awareness. I'm so sad. Yeah, federal trials, not her wedding is that month. That's why I think Taylor Swift is like, you need to settle this bitch. You're going to be a distraction. He can get money through the Jones case. I don't know about, from Blake, any update on the settlement talks. There weren't really settlement talks. I think Baldoni made a really large demand. I think he made a 9-figure demand. And then Taylor Swift said, go fuck yourself, and reposted her crash out letter and screenshots and Michael Gottlieb thing. What's today's date? She's got 5 weeks to change her mind. So as they prepare for trial, as they start doing trial prep with her, as they say, okay, we need to spend at least a week going over your testimony. And maybe once the reality of it starts sinking in, then she might start. And again, that's why, like, I've had 2 trials, okay? And it's really anticlimactic. It's like, not to be like super inappropriate and not to pull up Blake Lively. Have you and your spouse ever come at the same time? Like, but it is kind of like you're ready and you've got all this sexual tension, and then it just like dissipates because you're prepping and you're prepping and you're prepping, and then like the night before trial, twice it fucking settled. It's very unsatisfying. We could have done this a year ago and saved all this fucking aggravation. So, you know, I just remember so many times, Teresa, I'd rather pay you $10 million than pay her $1 million. We will never settle this case. Never. You proceed. You proceed. And then at the end, no, they didn't settle. I'm just saying, like, she may change her mind and settle once they really start preparing their trial and once they really start going through their testimony. And if they are really, you know, gonna prepare her for Alexandra Shapiro, they're gonna be tough with her on the stand and be like, you got to be ready to answer this. Get to the I'm on Justin's side part. Yeah. I don't think so, unless they can try to introduce it for the purpose of a pattern. But again, they might have been able to use it in Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. If Justin Baldoni's lawsuit has survived and he was saying it was fraud, you committed fraud, you lied to me about what you were going to do, I relied on your lie to my detriment, and this was part of a pattern of you lying to people to get the job, then you could introduce the Forbes interview potentially as part of a pattern. But it really doesn't have any relevance when the only issue is, did he hire PR because she complained about him? Like, since it's such a narrow issue, it's like unlikely to be admissible. They could have, like I said, in Justin's case, but not in this one. So I'm gonna, if you guys are into it, I will make a video reading her entire, I'll do 2. I'll do a video reading her entire crash out, and then I'll do a video reading the entire PGA letter. And you know what? I'm just going to start doing videos of reading her shit. And maybe that way, because I do want to read, Dear Ben, don't hang up. Dear Ben, don't hang up. I'm like, did Ben, I would love to question her about that. Did Ben Affleck respond? No, he did not. Do you think it's because you put don't hang up? Do you think if you had written don't delete, he might have not been confused about what your ultimate goal was? Just thought, that dude had that shit fucking in the spam folder. Yeah, because like I said, it's going to be the PGA letter. They got to read the PGA letter. That's at least a day of trial, just that fucking PGA letter. Good morning, Miss Lively. Welcome back. We're back. It's 9 a.m. on the record. Read this whole fucking PGA letter. Now let's go. You said you worked tirelessly. What did you mean by tirelessly? How many hours a day did you work? How long did you work? It says you were on the set 15 days. After those 15 days, were you still working tirelessly? What work was there to do? What work was there to do during the writer's strike? You know, like, were you working tirelessly during the writer's strike? Hold on, I'm doing this stupid puzzle. Okay. So you can really break everything down to such a granular level. What's pre-production mean? What were the dates for pre-production? What were the dates for production? What were the dates for post-production? Who the fuck is AD Julie? Why did you fire AD Julie? It says you did HR. What did you refer to as HR? Was HR the January meeting, or was there anything after the January meeting that you said would qualify as HR? I mean, you could just go on and on and on and on and on. But the very last question, like, I would time this shit so it was 4 o'clock right before they dismiss the jury. Is there any other questions for this witness for today? Yes. We've listened to you all day talk about everything that you did and everything you put in the PGA letter. So here's my last question to you, Miss Lively. What control did Justin Baldoni have? If you did everything that you said you did, what was left for him? If you were co-director, producer, HR, what control did Baldoni have over the set? No further questions. And that's just the PGA letter. So this is not going to be a good look for her. So eventually she may get there. She's just not in that place right now. I actually used to do stand-up comedy. Fun fact about me. When I moved to the DC area in 2016, I took a stand-up comedy class, and then I started doing stand-up. And I performed at the DC Comedy Club a bunch. I've traveled, and then I was just starting to break in to the New York comedy scene. The very last show that I did was the day before the COVID shutdown. And then after that, I just haven't really gotten back into it. Someone who worked on set says she thought, I don't know what that means. Can she settle during trial? Sure. If trial doesn't look like it's going good, hey, Mateo, then people have settlement conferences throughout trial too. So they can also do that. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if this really happens. This really happens. I legit may do a GoFundMe. I'm I need to hire a dog sitter. I need to do this. I need to go to New York. And then I'm going to I promise, guys, I'll make it worth your while. I'll be doing videos. I'll sneak out during breaks and I'll do videos. I'll give you guys the rundown. Send me to New York so I can see this trial. Thank you, everybody, for your support. So the mediation today, if they haven't settled and they didn't announce a settlement, there's no settlement. Friday is the first pretrial deadline. So Friday is the day we're going to start seeing some movement again on the docket. And the thing to look out for is really between now and May 12th. As it gets closer to trial, as trial gets more and more tangible and realistic, and it starts sinking in on Blake Lively, how bad a trial could be for her, I am confident that they will revisit the issue of settlement. And $100 million is a big fucking number. Let's be real. Again, that's why I wasn't anticipating a settlement today. I could get sticker shock at $100 million. You need time. A bitch needs time. Give a bitch time to process. Give a bitch time. It needs to start sinking in. You know what I mean? We're going to need to give her a little bit of fucking time to process $100 million. And then they're going to be okay, what about 25 million? And then they're going to be why don't you come back when you're serious? 25 million is half the legal fees. That's not enough. But then they're going to be okay, 50 million, 90, 52 million, 90. They're going to be going back and forth. This is not, spoliation's done. I don't think spoliation's going to matter because it's going to be denied as moot because 98% of that case has already been dismissed. So the evidence issue is going to be irrelevant. The biggest weak spot is Justin Baldoni's legal team. It depends on who they get running this shit. No, Friedman should not question Blake Lively. If Blake Lively is questioned by a man, then her narrative is going to be a man bullied me on the stand while defending another man who bullied me. She already got to say that once when he deposed her. So this really should be, I know I saw that. That's what I'm saying. Like, she's doubling down because she's in sticker shock about the settlement demand. But like, it really should be Alexandra Shapiro's trial. Because then at least you take away the gender bias. You know? So I think if they have a woman try her case and they go very methodically through the timeline and don't try to overcomplicate shit. You know, you got to explain things to people simply. Like, you guys like me because I'm like, listen, yeah, I could use a lot of legalese, or I could just fucking tell you, like, the judge thinks that Blake Lively's an asshole, but he can't say that on the facts. So he dismissed 98% of her case. And then he said, hey, Justin, this is how you win. Tell the jury you hired PR after Ryan unfollowed you, and tell the jury you hired PR after Blake said she wouldn't do promo with you. I could break it down in legalese, but that's how I think they have to talk to the jury. Like, you have to be like, listen, we're all here for 20 minutes worth of behavior that was stretched out over 5 weeks. And in the meantime, she's the one who ran the whole show. How could she be so uncomfortable in an environment that she created? And even assuming for the sake of argument that it happens to be feasible that she's uncomfortable in the environment that she created, she also created all these different PR nightmares for Justin Baldoni. How can you conclude that he hired PR because of a long forgotten January meeting that was successful because nothing else happened after that, according to her? Does anyone even remember the January meeting by the time we're done talking about all the shit that happened in between? So they have a very, very, very strong case. They have a really good shot at full vindication. They won't get money. It's not like the jury can turn around and be like, well, Blake, since you lost, now you have to pay his legal fees. Yes, the co-stars will testify. I was driving, but now I'm home. Hi, Teresa. Hey, PGA letter is the key. PGA letter, listen, all the communications, the never with teeth, the Khaleesi text, the I need to lose weight, like all of her communications, all that's important because it's showing like the banter that they had. Like, how can she be uncomfortable if she's saying, I'm talking to you as a friend? How can she be uncomfortable if you're telling him, I gotta lose 20 pounds? And he's saying, no, you look beautiful. How can you be uncomfortable if, you know, insert shit here? How can you be uncomfortable if you're the one spontaneously kissing this man? How can you be uncomfortable if you're the one saying that you're HR? How can you be uncomfortable if you're the one saying that you're looking at the monitors every fucking second? How can you be uncomfortable if you're the one saying, you know, that's it? I think Gottlieb was drunk. That's the best fucking explanation I have for that. I think Gottlieb was drunk. I think Gottlieb is bitter. I think Gottlieb was having a bad fucking day. And his secretary was gone and nobody was there to fucking, like, the same shit that Ryan Reynolds did to Colleen Hoover. Like, nobody was there to be like, put the phone down, turn the computer off. Tomorrow is another day. Yeah, I am going to follow Stephanie Jones. I've been so, like, sucked into this rabbit hole that is this case and trying to get caught up because I missed the whole fucking year that I am going to get up on Stephanie Jones so I can cover that too. But yeah, but thank you guys for the likes. Don't forget, 5 years of good luck for 5 fast tips, clicks, whatever. Haley Beck. If you guys want me to follow any cases, hit me on DM and let me know, because I know that there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know about the fucking Afro Man trial to the damn verdict. Like, I have to get better. I have to get better at getting up to speed on stuff. Like, but whatever. Oh, the Tyler Perry one, I gotta know. I do know about docket updates, but yeah, like, if you guys are interested in any kind of like specific litigation, let me know and I'll look into it, because I thought Afro Man was fucking amazing, and now I'm like, you know, I could do videos about it, but it's all finished. But so thank you for my likes and my gifts and the follows and all the support. I did narrate her crash out on my podcast episode that I dropped today, the Selling Sanity podcast. So I break down everything. I recap the judge's order. Then I talk about Blake Lively's fucking epic crash out. Then I talk about Gottlieb's epic crash out. And then I just talk about like the misinformation shit from it's like from media, from other lawyers, from like, and I said in the podcast, have you commented on that really rude judge in Houston who was rude to the IT worker? I actually just saw that shit the other day. That happens all the time. Maybe that's why I was a little desensitized. Judges can be dicks, especially to IT people, like to servants. Like there are some judges who could be like complete assholes like that, especially in state court. I think state court judges are a lot more short-tempered because they have like a lot more cases than federal judges. It's a lot harder to get a case in federal court. So the federal cases are usually much more complicated, but there are much fewer. So, look, fucking Lyman had just January, February, March, April. He had 4 months to write an opinion. In state court, in 4 months, you've had 40 cases. So I just think that they're so busy and stressed and overworked and underpaid that they get really short-tempered. And I've seen like judges treat like the bailiff, the court reporter, the IT people, like it's not unusual. Like it sucks, but I do feel like he was pretty typical for a fucking judge, a state court judge. That pisses me off. Listen, I just don't understand. If one more person says technicality and that fucking person has a JD, I'm just going to be like, where did you go to school? Because it's in black and white. It's written down. All you got to do is read. I'm not inventing shit. I'm not like taking a dump in the bathroom and pulling shit out of my ass and saying, hey guys, the judge fucking said the dancing scene was not sexual harassment. Although now, apparently, I'm not going to name names, but apparently now other social media attorneys are changing their tune. And now they're saying it's not a technicality. It was on the merits. Go figure that one out. I'll let y'all do that homework. Like fucking 12 hours after I'm like, this is Blake Lively's swan song because she's on some fucking weird victory tour. Someone else is like, oh, she's on a victory tour. So I'm like, I'm glad you guys are watching me and, taking my little fucking clips and then going doing your videos and then calling me unprofessional because I have the nerve to say Brian Friedman's a shitty attorney when I said the same thing that a federal judge just said. But I digress. Dracarys. So you can't destroy fire. Fire just is fire. Let me tell you guys real quick the story about how I got my nickname Dracarys, and then I'm going to call it a night. But this is like years ago. Not years ago, like a while ago. I was representing an attorney. And I was representing a client. And this client, this one case gave me 2 nicknames. Okay? So, the first nickname was because my client was this Jewish guy. And I don't remember the phrase, but in like Jewish, like the opposing guy was a friend of his, a neighbor. They lived in the same neighborhood. They went to the same temple. And there's like this phrase that they were like, you don't want to harm your neighbor. Like you don't want to do anything that is going to really harm your neighbor. So this guy was trying to like resolve this contract dispute without a ton of attorney involvement. So he calls me and he's like, Teresa, we have a call. We have a settlement call, but I don't want you to be on the call. Because he's my neighbor, you know, we go to the same temple. He's not going to do anything to hurt me. And sometimes I think that, you know, lawyers can be too combative and it makes it so that, you know, they don't want to settle. So maybe we just have like a conversation where like it's more like settling like men. So I said, okay, listen, here's the deal, okay? I will allow you to participate in this conference call, but I am going to be very explicit. You do not agree to anything. You do not admit anything. I really don't even want you to speak on this call. I just want you to listen. They requested this call, so hear them out, hear what they have to say, and then you text me or call me and let me know what's going on. Okay. 40 minutes into this call, I'm like this. I'm like looking at my clock. I'm like, I don't like not being involved. The fucking client calls me. This grown-ass man. Sounds like he's on the verge of tears. And he's like, the lawyer was like so mean and he was telling me that he's going to get me sanctioned because we haven't produced these financial documents. And I'm going to be like, our company's going to go bankrupt. And just like all this stuff. So I was like, okay, are they still on the call? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So I call into this conference. And I'm like, it's like, beep, I'm like, hello. And I'm like, he's like, hello, who's that? He's a Southern guy. He's like, hello, who's this? This Teresa? And I was like, let me explain something to you. I, as a courtesy, allowed you to talk to my client without the presence of counsel so that the parties could try to negotiate a settlement in a cost-effective manner. And you exploited my client and took advantage of him, not knowing the fucking legalese that you were throwing around left and right. And you threatened my client knowing that he was represented by counsel. Are you out of your fucking mind? I'm like, if you ever pull any kind of bullshit like that again, I will drag your ass in front of the ethics committee and I will make sure that I do not stop until your license is revoked. Don't you ever fucking threaten another client of mine again. This was a settlement conversation. This was not an opportunity for you to be a bully. And then he was like, well, you know, you haven't like responded to our discovery. And I'm like, then that's between me and you, but you don't fucking threaten my client and come left and be like, oh, you haven't given me discovery, so you're going to get sanctioned. You know as well as I do that there's not going to be any fucking sanction. You have a request that's overly broad and you have to narrow it down. And once you narrow it down on a fucking piece of paper that you put in front of me, then we will talk about what I will produce to you. But until then, I'm not giving you shit. And then he was like, oh, well, you know, this case is going to end up really bad for your clients. And I was like, you know what? Your fucking Napoleon complex is going to be the reason this case doesn't settle. And he was like, oh my God, I will have you know I'm 6'4". And I'm like, that's not what I meant, but thank you for proving my point. Now, this is what's going to happen. I'm ending this call. You are going to send me a revised discovery demand, and I will decide how quickly I want to respond to it. And then we hung up the phone. Conference ended. My client calls me back. He starts laughing. And he's like, Teresa, I like your style. He's like, you know what? You are an honorary Jew. And he said, I know your last name is Concepcion, but forevermore, you will be known to me as Concepstein. Fucking Concepstein, right? So then the opposing counsel calls my boss and picks up the phone. And he's like, this fucking bitch told me in front of my client that I have a Napoleon complex. And then, so I followed up with it. I thought about it really hard. Okay. I sat in front of my computer, man, and I was like this. And I thought about it really hard. And I doubled down. And I put that shit in a fucking email. I was like, I'm waiting for your discovery demand. I'm like, I don't understand why you continue to take this long. As I've already said, your Napoleon complex is going to be the reason why this case does not settle. Send. So then my boss calls me and he's like, he could have used that in a motion for sanctions because, again, like attorney code of conduct. And I said, you know what? I thought about that long and hard. I actually put a lot of thought into whether or not I should put that insult in writing. But the way I see it, a person with a true Napoleon complex does not want to put on the record the fact that a woman told him he has a Napoleon complex, because then he would have to explain to the judge that he doesn't, in fact, have a small dick. So I took the chance, and I think it paid off. So then my fucking boss is like, no wonder he calls you Dracarys. And I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah. He was like, she's not fucking Khaleesi. That bitch is Dracarys. And that's how I got 2 nicknames from one case. And then we settled very favorably for my client. They fucking settled just to get rid of me. Oh my God. The client was like, that hurt my feelings. Like the other side's client, he was like, oh shit. Apparently they fucking met in Temple. The two guys met in Temple the next day, and they were both talking about me, and they were like, listen, it's gotten far enough. Like, she hurt him. Like, let's just be friends. So that is just one story, but that's how I got 2 nicknames out of one fucking case. It's because I bitched out a lawyer on a conference call in front of his own client after he bullied my client. That's what happened. So that is how I got the nickname Dracarys, and then it stuck. And then in the DC community, in the DC comedy community, just incidentally, I got the same nickname Dracarys from a comic because I was really good at stand-up really quickly, because I would tell people, and I tell people the same thing with this case. I'm like, listen, I'm new to stand-up comedy. I'm new to the Blake Lively case, but I'm not new. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not new. So people used to give me shit in the DC comedy scene, and the same way I just unleashed on them, and I got the nickname Dracarys. Honestly, like, I am burnt out on litigation. It's a lot. I mean, look at this case. You spent 18 months fighting with people. I'm being really petty. And most of the time, it's like, if people would just be rational and calm down for, like, just long enough, you could settle this case and move on with your life. But it's like, you're just dealing with angry, irrational people all the time who don't want to, like, take a step back and just, like, think about things, like, in a clear business. So it's like, you're just dealing with, it's like herding cats, and then you're dealing with opposing counsel. Like, imagine dealing with Brian Friedman's and Michael Gottlieb's all the fucking time. The amount of fights I have had over bullshit is just a lot. So I was just like, I'm burnt out. I'm tired. It's been 16, 15 years. I was in-house counsel. Like, I've just done a lot. And so I'm like, okay. Yeah, I have, I'm still an attorney, and all I got to do is, like, pay my fees and take some, classes for my license, and I can, my license will be activated. So I can always go back. I still am admitted everywhere I'm admitted. I'm still admitted in, like, the Southern District, the Eastern District, the District of New Jersey, the District of Pennsylvania, the District of Maryland. I got into the United States Supreme Court Bar 2013-ish. So I'm still admitted everywhere. I just got to renew my paperwork and I can practice. But I just got so burnt out that I'm like, okay, well, now I'm just, let me coach. Let me help younger attorneys. I make my own schedule. I make a lot less money. That's why, hence the GoFundMe to send me to this fucking trial. But I go to sleep a lot earlier and I have a lot less stress. So it's kind of like, I'm at that phase. I'm 44, and it's like the first time I'm not working for anybody. I'm not working for JP Morgan. I'm not working for a big law firm. I'm not working with fucking clients who have fucking top secret clearance. Like, I'm not working for sensitive people. Like, I could say whatever I want to say. So I was like, fuck it. Let me just get on TikTok and see what happens. And all this has happened. So I'm glad you guys like my unfiltered self, because I wouldn't have been able to do all this. Good for I don't have kids. Never married, no kids. I'm the perfect man. Come on. That's a good joke. What woman would not fucking shit a brick if she saw a guy who's a lawyer, 44, never married, no children? Oh my God, it's the fucking holy grail of men. And me, I'm just like a new fucking generation of Sex in the City. I'm like Charlotte. I'm like, I'm so tired. Where is he? Fucking exhausted. The perfect man has no parents. That's hilarious. I feel that because my sister-in-law and my mom are like not. My mom and my sister-in-law, the first time they met, they fucking beefed over whether or not my brother should eat eggs. I was like in the middle of this dialogue because we were waiting. My brother was getting back from his first deployment from Iraq. He's in the military. So we flew out to where he was coming back from his deployment. And so the three women of us are like having dinner, waiting. And like, I'm just sitting there passively eating my shit, looking at these bitches. Like, what are you guys talking about? Well, there are other better kinds of protein. Well, my son will never give up eating eggs. Well, you know, we don't really eat eggs when we're together. And I'm just like, oh my God. So I get it, how parents and in-laws are a thing. Hey, Mr. Nostalgia. Welcome. I'm going to, oh, thank you. Oh my God. Cute story. So I went to my family's for Easter, and my aunt did a little, like all my other cousins are in their 20s. I was 20 when they were born. So they're like 23, about to be 24. But she invited the neighbor's kid to come do this like little Easter egg hunt. And he's in 3rd grade, right? And so we're all running around the house, and he wasn't finding any eggs. So like the eggs that I found, I was kind of like repositioning them, like, hey, go look over there. And like, you know, like I was helping him out. And bye, Nar. Good night. And by the way, guys, all these lives, I'm going to save them, download them, and then upload them to my YouTube. So if you missed it, you can always go check this out over there. But the fucking kid at the end of the night, he was like, are you in high school? It's like, bless you. Bless you. Yeah, no. I'm going to, you know, it takes a while for all this stuff to download. But once it downloads, I'm going to upload it to YouTube and on the video section. And I'll do that. So, yes. So that was like my little ego boost yesterday. It was like, are you in high school? It's like, I'm 44. And then his eyes got all big. All right. Thank you guys again for everything and all your support and the likes and the follows and all the things. And